SailGP is fast on the water and it's fast off the water. The league is growing at a rapid rate. I'm here with CJ and Lisa, the experts in SailGP, to find out a bit about behind the scenes of who those teams could be and who the athletes might be in those teams. Guys, are we excited?
Oh, we're so excited. How good is that? 12 boats, why don't we have 14?
2 new boats to the league. CJ, who do you reckon those boats could be?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think personally, I would love to see an Asian team, perhaps Japan coming back.
I'm sure there's a lot of countries that want to get involved in SailGP. The best athletes are here. For me, I think there's a lot of talent coming out of South America. Obviously with Brazil entering, they're going to want a piece of that. But there's also, Europe is such a strong sailing continent. I think when I think of Europe, I think Swedish, Dutch, they're going to be knocking at the door and trying to call Russell Coots all the time.
Giving them the ring. So if we talk about X teams to start off with, Japan, China, 2 teams that are no longer in the league, could we see the return of them?
I think so. I mean, it's one thing for SailGP. We obviously want to add another boat on the water, but at the end of the day, SailGP is a business franchise. And I think Japan offers a really strong consumer market. Like, they're obviously really big into elite sports, and we've already had their team come onto SailGP back in season 1 and 2, so that could be a big option.
And they did well in seasons 1 and 2, right? Runners up in the grand finals.
Yeah, we're in the grand final twice, but just on that, I think with China as well, what we're seeing sort of outside of the SailGP world, in that Olympic world, they're investing a lot in the Chinese sailors. They've kind of been away from the fleet for a while, and they've shown up in force and doing really well. So it is a growing sort of sailing talent there, and yeah, it would be really cool to see either of them come back.
Amazing. And it's not just because CJ wants to go to Asia, by the way, although that is high up on your list. I remember you saying the other day.
Oh yeah, an event in Tokyo would be amazing.
Yeah, well, I did the Olympics in Tokyo, and I can tell you what, the Japanese fans would get around it.
Okay, amazing. Well, Tokyo, Japan, China, maybe, but we could also look at some new countries. We got 2 stops in the United Arab Emirates next year. Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and this year actually as well.
I've already heard rumours of a UAE team actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and they've been quite involved in sailing before, like different countries from that region. So, I mean, it could come from anywhere, but I've definitely heard that on the grapevine around the tech side.
Like, what's the rules around the talent that you have to have from that country in your team?
It's 50%, so you've got to have 3 nationals and 3 non-nationals. So I think with that, it's going to be a balance of having sort of homegrown talent and then getting some really key players that can elevate that team. And that's how we've seen a lot of the developing teams really advance here at SailGP.
So if we're talking about how much money it would cost to enter a team in the league, do we know roughly what that is?
Yeah, it cost $60 million to buy the team.
Quite a lot, yeah. But when we're looking at the other countries then, we need to ensure that they've got 50% homegrown talent. We need to ensure that they've got enough money to enter the league. So there's places like, as you said, South America. Argentina had a good Olympics last time. There's some great sailors there.
Yeah, great sailors there. Obviously, a couple of Olympic medals, I think, in Paris 2024. I think they have a great sailing history as well. I think funding would probably be a hard thing for them, but in terms of filling the boat, they'd have no problems.
Great sailors. Then we have other countries, the other Scandinavian countries as well, joining Rockwool Racing. Could be potentially Finland, someone like that maybe. Great sailing heritage.
Yeah, or Sweden maybe.
I think Sweden will be definitely knocking at the door pretty hard. They've had history in the America's Cup. They have sailed, actually their heritage boat is somewhere here amongst the fleet as well with Artemis Racing. So they've got such good talent as well, really good female sailors winning a couple of Olympic medals. And actually Julia Gross is on the Italian boat at the moment. So maybe she's getting some top secrets before making her own team.
I'm personally hoping that there's going to be an Irish team, mainly for Guinness as a sponsor. The Adrenaline Lounge would look very different, I think, with a Guinness as a sponsor there. And then lastly, potentially like the Dutch. Dutch have a really good sailing background as well.
Oh, the Dutch are one of the strongest sailing nations, especially in the Olympic world. I think they would actually put together a really strong team. I don't think they would even need to buy too many good players. If they had a good coach, they could have a full Dutch team and be quite competitive. Similar to kind of what we've seen the Italian team do. Obviously, they're kind of a split nation, but the Dutch is oozing with sailing talent.
Money where your mouth is, and you were going to predict which 2 teams would be joining. From those countries that we spoke about, who would you be backing?
The Middle East is showing a lot of promise in terms of their investment into many elite sports like SailGP, F1, football, all that. So I think it would make a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised.
Great insight, great insight. And every team has to have athletes within it, right? So who would you think is going to be making a comeback or their first steps into SailGP next year?
In terms of the UAE or just
We're
other sailors?
talking anyone, drivers.
Well, anyone. There's a few good sailors sitting on the sidelines, so I can think maybe Nathan Atteridge, Phil Robertson, CJ Perez.
Can we see Elisa and CJ hook up for a
UAE team?
Yeah, UAE team.
Well, what do you call it? A gun for hire, but the content team might be missing
Yeah,
us.
okay, yeah, there we go. Do you reckon we could scrape together 60 mil?
Yeah, easy. That's nothing.
Any sponsors out there, you know where to come
Do you
knocking.
know anyone at Guinness?
Yeah, that'd be a great one. Obviously, you mentioned Nathan. Could we see him in 2026 make a comeback?
I don't know, it's so hard, I guess. Obviously, there's so many good sailors here. He was part of this. He was really part of growing it. So I certainly expect that he would want to get involved again. But when you are involved in something like that and had such a good opportunity, I think for him, it's kind of, he's got a young family, it's a lot to deal with. But then when you look around, other people are managing that as well. So when you've got Ben Ainsley, you've got Dylan Fletcher, Tom Slingsby, they managed to do both. So I think if he could do both, he loves racing, and I'm sure he'd love to be here.
Yeah, I remember last year, I think he filled in on one of the events. I can't remember which event it was for one of the drivers, and I think it gave him the bug back and he wanted to rejoin.
He was the paternity cover.
Paternity cover, very relevant. Who do you reckon would be there?
I mean, Phil Robertson. We love Phil. I mean, he is such a character, and he's always the one that's kind of, whenever there's a new team, you always see Phil Robertson as kind of the head driver. He's the one leading the team and being the leader for that. And I think he does such a great job. I mean, on our side as content, we love talking to Phil. He is like so real, so honest, and I think everyone would be stoked to have him back.
Phil also lives in Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah, Swedish wife, got his kids there.
We're getting into it now.
Yeah, we can see a pattern emerging, I think.
Detective Lisa has uncovered something there, I think. We could see a Swedish team with Phil Robertson as the driver. How about some female athletes? Ellie Aldridge?
Yeah, well, I mean, Ellie signed up as a reserve strategist for the British team at the moment, but I think in terms of female talent, there's so much female talent out there. Right now, we only have one woman on each of these boats. And so, you know, there's 5 men. So there's plenty of other women out there that have raced at such a high level that could drive these teams like we've seen Martine, trim the wings, fly the boat. I have no doubt that's going to happen, and I'd love to see a new team do that.
Amazing.
Yeah, you're totally right as well, because I think seeing Martine drive the Brazil boat, and she's been doing so well. I mean, she had a race win, and the team is performing consistently very well. It's showing the league that...
Sorry, the French are behind us. A team that is not going anywhere next season. This is what happens when you're on the SailGP Tech site. The boats have to go out no matter who is in the way. They've got a race to race.
What we've seen with Martine, she's done so well. She's performed really amazing throughout this whole season already. She's shown that you can have a female driver and they can perform just as well as all the male drivers. And so, I mean, I've spoken with a lot of the female athletes here. They want to be in those main roles, in the driving roles. Tosh, and she wants to, get into those main positions. And I think we've already proved that we can do that. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we've seen maybe another female driver on the league. I don't know,
That'd
who
be
knows?
incredible.
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to touch on is we've had a couple of celebrity investors in obviously the Bond Flying Ruse with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Who do we think out of the celebrity world could be investing in these new teams? Is there anyone that you would want to see knocking around on the tech site next season?
Theo James, Jason Momoa.
Jason Aquaman, okay. That'd be a great investor. Aquaman, definitely get a team.
I mean, I haven't really thought about it that much, but I really like, obviously the movie stars are awesome, but I think it's when the sports stars are investing in the teams. I think that that's super cool. Obviously, they can bring so much knowledge, like we saw Sebastian Vettel, and, you know, Roger Federer is not invested in the Swiss team, but, you know, people like that involved in our sport, I think it's really cool because they sort of understand it and they might have a little bit of more connection to the team. So any sports superstars, I'd be pretty cool to see.
So you're not wanting DJ Khaled back then?
No, I'd be more like Serena Williams, come
Okay.
down here.
Team USA, sponsored by DJ Khaled. Let's talk about talent pathway then. A new team comes in, you basically generate a talent pathway for young sailors to come in and potentially sail in one of the pinnacles of sailing one day. CJ, you've been there yourself. How important is that to the teams, and what an incentive that is to new countries to get stuck in?
Yeah, I mean, it's super important to have the pipeline for younger athletes to one day get into the pinnacle of the sport, which is SailGP. I think right now a lot of that is getting into foiling boats. Like, I think the Moth is a really popular one that a lot of the athletes are using as their training platform. And really it's just a matter of, yeah, how much effort the country is willing to put into their youth sailors and wanting them to have a good opportunity to make it into this level of the sport.
I think the other thing to think about is SailGP is on the screens and on the little screens of a lot of people around the world. And that's what I think is just super cool about SailGP, because young kids that might see it be like, oh, I actually want to learn how to sail. And that to me is something that is incredible. But then from there, where do they go? So then that's when they can see the youth athletes that are doing, sailing wasp or winging or whatever it is, and thinking, okay, well, that's what I need to do next. And then there's this clear pathway from being like, I want to get involved in this sport, to jump, jump, jump. Next minute, you're tearing out on an F50.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
it'd be
not
great
next
to
minute,
see.
but close enough.
Well, it seemed like that way for CJ. Okay, my last question for you then is, there's loads of athletes up and down this paddock and on the water. If you could put together a team of athletes from any of the teams, like a Frankenstein team for, say, the UAE, who would you be picking? It's like transfer deadline day. We're drafting a team here, NFL draft. Who are you picking?
Well, if our team had infinite amount of money, my first thought is Tom Slingsby. I mean, he's a 3-time SailGP champion. It's like having Jimmy Spithill with the Italian team. I mean, there's just so much knowledge there. I think he would be such an asset to the team. But that's like such a basic answer. What do you think,
Okay, so we have
Lisa?
Slingsby at the helm. Lisa, who are you picking for the wing trimmer?
Wing trimmers, for me, I think the wing trimmer is, can make or break a team. I actually would probably go with, and we're going to build an Australian team here, but Kyle Langford. I mean, obviously Jimmy picked him for a reason. I think Kyle's got a lot of experience. Obviously, he knows what winning feels like, but now that he's experienced this new Italian team, he knows what needs to be taught fast.
Okay, and then we need the muscle. We need the muscle in there, the grinders. Who are the biggest, bulkiest, fastest grinders?
Matt Gottrell.
Yeah, I was going to say, get the rower on there. And actually, the Swiss rowing pair, I think they've been doing pretty well. They could have really brought that team together. I don't know, all the grinders are, so good. The hard thing about the grinding team is that obviously they're doing the power, but there's so much they do that we can't see. Sure. They do a little bit of tactics, they're trimming the jib. I mean, I'd take any of them, really.
That's something I've really seen this weekend, which, I mean, it's a learning experience for me at all times in this league, but seeing that there's a lot of crossover between the roles on the boat, and seeing that sometimes a strategist is holding the wheel for the driver, or as you say, the grinders are doing a bit of strategy as well. There's a huge amount of crossover there. If we're speaking about the really delicate job of flying the boat, who are you going to pick?
I would say Andy Maloney.
Annie Maloney?
I think
biased,
he's done
so
a
I've
good
got to go
job.
Jason Waterhouse.
Yeah, it's another full Australian team.
Lisa's just going all Aussies on her team.
I mean, Jason's my cousin, so I can't really.
Okay, right. Okay. Nepotism.
Strategist, I would say Hannah Mills.
Yeah, 100% agree on that.
Hannah Mills from Emirates GBR. Okay, so we've got our team. We've
What
got
about the
our
UAE
countries.
athletes? Who are we going to put on there?
I know, yeah, we need 50% UAE athletes.
Well, I guess with the UAE, what you can do is you could probably put a grinding team at the front. I'm sure they can get a little bit of power from the athletes that already exist in that country. Strategist, while Hannah Mills is probably the best, you probably put a strategist on there, because then they can transfer the sailing skills that they've learned in the sailing that they've done on there, and then they can sort of upskill to an F50. So your 3 key positions, which your boat speed, your boat handling, get around the track, and then you'd have a pathway like we've seen other teams upskill and then transfer them in. That's what we saw with the Japanese team. Leo started as a grinder, then he was a flight controller for Japan. So I think that structure is really what works for someone that is just so fresh to sort of this level of sailing.
Great picks, great advice and great insight. So next year, there will be new teams joining the league. We don't know who they are, it's all rumours at this point, but we're very excited to welcome them to SailGP. Let us know in the comments below who you think it could be, and we'll see you next time.